She is Times Person of the Year for 2023. She runs a worldwide multi-billion-dollar tour. She picked up her 4th album of the year to add to her 14 Grammy wins. And oh yeah, her boyfriend won the Super Bowl. Taylor Swift is on top of the world right now. So this fall, students at Penn State Berks can learn all about her and they can get college credit. The course is entitled Taylor Swift, Gender and Communication. Dr. Michelle Ramsey is an associate professor of communications there. She is smiling. She developed this course and will be teaching it. She's also more than a musician, Taylor Swift, professor. She is a tour de force. She said she's backing Biden. She actually put out a tweet and 30,000 people signed up. No small task for a pop star. Is that why you're teaching this?
Not really. I mean, I'm teaching it. I'm not teaching her because of the Biden connection. I am teaching her because of the power that she has and the impact that she has on all generations right now.
What is it about Taylor Swift that makes her so popular? We were talking about it today, and we were comparing her to Michael Jackson, who also had that same worldwide appeal. But this is someone who started out in country, crossed over to pop, started writing songs. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not a Swiftie, but I know she wrote a lot of songs about ex-boyfriends. So how do you go from writing songs about ex-boyfriends to being one of the most powerful entertainers in the world?
You do that by writing songs about ex-boyfriends. I think one of the things that makes her so important right now, and has for a while, is that she's beloved by boomers all the way down to Generation A, because for the first time, at least that I can think of, people who identify as women, our stories are central to the culture. It is usually the case that you have a TV show, maybe a film or two every year. Taylor Swift is telling those stories about her ex-boyfriends, but she's also telling our stories. And her vulnerability speaks to our vulnerabilities. We see a lot of our own experiences in what she sings about, and it is everywhere. And I think for the first time, like I said, she's central to our culture, and our stories are central to our culture, and that is not usually the case.
Okay, I'm a boomer, so explain to me how this happens. The captain of the cheerleaders dates the quarterback of the football team who goes on to win the Super Bowl, and everybody likes her. That's not the way that story always plays out. Isn't that the most hated couple that we went to high school with? So in other words, how do you make that transition from being the people that we all hated, you know, the ones that they're most likely to succeed, they're most likely to marry, have 15 kids that all go on to college and land on the moon? How do we go from that point to the point that everybody really likes her because she seems to be genuine?
I think you just answered the question. You can be all of those things because you are genuine. And I think, you know, I don't know a ton about Travis Kelce, but he seems pretty genuine too, as does his brother. And so I think that's the key, is that she is a popular person because she is perceived as genuine and as kind and as generous and as, again, telling stories that aren't typically the center of our common culture, and taking some pretty important stands that I think are really good role models, stands for younger generations and even for older generations.
Professor, is there a lesson to be learned? I guess there is because you're teaching it. But that being said, is part of the lesson of Taylor Swift that we live in a world that is so, I guess, politically correct, that it is refreshing to know someone who just speaks their mind, is very loyal to her fans are loyal to her, but also could be the girl next door?
I guess I would take issue if we live in a world that's politically correct. But I just think her popularity is about the fact that when people listen to her, they hear their own stories. And the reason I'm teaching this class is because of that. Ideology is most powerful when it's least visible. And when we are entertained, we often kind of drop that critical lens and we just think it's entertainment. But when you think back to growing up as a child and who your idols were, who you wanted to look like and dress like and be like, pop culture has a really, really important role in our own growth and how we grow up to identify ourselves. And so it's really important that she is so central to culture because, people are paying attention to who she is, what she stands for. And I want students to critically assess popular culture because it is such an important part of who we are. And I also want them to take all of those feelings that they have about her music, the things that they hear, the stories of their own that they hear in her music. And I want to give them a vocabulary so that they don't just hear those stories, they understand them, they have a vocabulary to connect to those stories so that they can see them, they can name them, and then they can go out and make change if they feel like that's what needs to happen. But it's very important to put names to the kinds of feelings and discussions that she's starting with songs like The Man that talk about sexism and bias. It's important to give students the vocabulary to talk about the popular culture that they're a part of. And that's one of the things I really want to do in the class.
Now you have to go and listen to all the music. Dr. Michelle Ramsey with Penn State Berks. Professor, thanks for being with us.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
You got it. A reminder,